Paintbrush. My name is Miss Cami, and I'm super excited that you're here with me today to paint this really fun monster truck. Now, just because we aren't in a studio together does not mean that Miss Cami's rules no longer apply. So make sure you're nice to yourself and remember that we are all different, so all of our monster trucks today will turn out just a little bit different, and that's okay. If they didn't, that would be super boring. So just embrace that and have a good time, okay? Let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna use a big flat brush because I'm gonna put our background in first, okay? Any flat brush that you have will do. Mine's probably a little bit bigger than yours because I have a little bit bigger of a surface. So just grab a flat brush and go ahead and get it wet in some water. And we want to tap or drag the extra water off of our brush. And here we have our plate or our palette of paints. Now you can see that this particular palette has our primary colors. So this is super fun for you because your monster truck can be any color you want because you have the primary colors. And you can mix those up to make secondary colors and just have all kinds of fun colors on your truck, okay? But first we're gonna go with our background, which is a light blue. So I wanna pull some of this blue over with some white and just start to mix that up, and I wanna make it super light. I'm not gonna mix too crazy, I'm just gonna kind of roughly combine it in there. And now I'm gonna start to paint around my truck, okay? Now if I get any of this blue into my truck, that's okay, especially these little areas where my tires are, because those are black, okay? So that's gonna be okay if that happens. We're just gonna do our best filling that in. But if a little bit happens to get up in that truck, that's okay. We're not gonna stress about that right now. Don't sweat the small stuff, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna keep going, brushing around. I'm gonna make sure I'm using my water, right? Because our paint gets thirsty. And I want this blue to be super light up and around my truck, and then I want to make it darker as we go to the edges of our canvas. So see how I'm not taking too much time up here around this truck to make sure it's all perfect. Right now I'm just getting the paint on my canvas, okay? So just nice, just keep going. Go up here. Okay, remember our paint gets thirsty, so I'm constantly adding water to my brush. We'll go up here, and we got to get inside that window. Don't forget that. Got to get in there. But everything else we want to kind of paint around it, right? Just keep going, loading our brush, going around those edges of the truck. I can really use the shape of my brush to get around all those corners. Okay. All right, we've just about got all around our truck done. You can see there's different values of blue coming off my brush. Some sections are light, some have little dark streaks. That's okay, you want that. That's just a fun addition. Okay, now as we start to go towards the edge of our canvas, we want to darken those edges just a little bit. So I'm going to just continue to add blue into that light blue mixture as I come into these edges, and I'm just going to blend that dark paint into that lighter paint as I go. Okay, so there's a nice transition from dark to light as I go around, okay? So again, I'm just taking some of that dark blue on my brush and I'm just adding it and blending it in. Okay, this is also a great time to wrap your canvas. Make sure you do all those edges, okay? And just kind of blend it in so we get a nice dark edge happening, okay? So notice the edges of my canvas are staying a little bit darker, and then as I come in, I lighten that paint and then blend those edges back. See that? Super fun. and not all as difficult as it seems. So I'm just going to add some water to my brush. Keep loading that darker blue. Brush it back and forth, and then load with that light blue and meet that dark edge right there. And just kind of blend it together. Okay. Back and forth. And you can really make your edges as dark or as light as you want. Just depends on the load of your brush. So I get that dark edge in there and then load it with my lighter paint and blend that together. So it's not a sharp edge, it's just really nicely blended. Okay. There we go. Got our backgrounds all finished, so let's give our big brush a nice wash. Okay, I'm gonna really swish it around. Make sure it's washed really good. Tap it off and set it aside. Now I'm gonna switch to a smaller flat. This might be the size you're more familiar with, and maybe this is the same one you did your background with. So we're just gonna use that one now, okay? And I'm gonna go into my yellow flame right here, okay? So I'm going to add just a little bit of white to my brush and go into my yellow paint, okay? And I'm just going to fill in this flame. And if you notice, look, I go to the toe of my brush to get that flame shape, okay? But again, if I get any into the truck like that, it's totally fine because we're going to do red and some oranges and it's just going to all come together, okay? But we do want to be careful when we get up close to that blue now because green will happen, right? If we mix blue and yellow together. And maybe you've chosen to do that. Maybe you wanted a green flame. And that's what's so fun about this particular palette. You can totally do that with your primary colors. Okay, so I'm just going to get up in there and just paint right around here, over in here, this nice yellow flame. Okay, and now that's done, so let's give our brush another good wash, swishing it around really good, tapping it or dragging the extra water. Now let's move into our red truck, okay? So I'm going to use the same brush, mix in that water into my paint so it's nice and loose. And then I'm going to start to fill in my truck. Okay, just nice and easy. Trying to get straight lines if I can. You can follow those nice lines on your canvas. Okay, straight lines are tricky though, so remember that. That's why we got to remember to be kind to ourselves when we're painting, because we're all just practicing and learning as we go, and trying to enjoy the process, right? Okay. So as I get close to this flame, I'm not going to butt up against it just yet, okay? I want to do all my other areas first. So I'll come up here, paint around this truck here, come down. Now, if you need to move your canvas to reach these different spots, totally do that. There's no shame in that. It's okay to flip that canvas around as you paint, no problem at all. So I'll do everything I can with this big brush, and I might switch to a round to go up close to my flames. If I'm feeling a little shaky or a little nervous about that, I can just go ahead and switch my brush to get around those areas, and I think I will real quick. So I'm just going to pop that in my water. And I'll go to my green round brush there, get it into my paint, and this will help me control just a little bit better around my flame. Okay. So I'm just gonna go around here, fill in that extra. Remember, there's more steps, so this doesn't have to be perfect. We're gonna add some orange into our flame and some shadowing. Okay, so we're just doing the best that we can to get this paint onto our truck right now. Filling it in. All these little curves that make this flame look super cool. There we go. Smooth out any extra paint here. Let's go up here and just smooth that out. Now we've got our red truck. So let's wash both of our brushes now. Give them a really, really good wash. Wipe them off here, and let's move on to our tires, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and use my flat brush here, get into my black paint, and I'm gonna start to curve in my tires, okay? Circles can be tricky, right? So if you can see, I'm pressing my paintbrush so that all my bristles go all the way to the edge of my brush. That helps me control a nice line and a nice edge. Okay, so that'll help. And we're gonna go in that center circle with some gray here in a minute. I just need to get the basics, and I can clean that up with my gray paint in a second. Go ahead and do this other one. This is why it was okay to get a little bit of blue into your tires, because black just covers it right up. So no need to stress about that. So press all those bristles. Give you a nice clean edge. Keep going around here. Okay, now we're going to put those spikes on our tires, right? Those are super fun, and we're just going to use this flat brush to do it, okay? And so what I want you to do is use the shape of your brush and just dash in one on the top like that. And then I want you to do one directly across from it on the bottom. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing side to side. See how I'm just doing a dash and then curving that in like a little triangle. So just curve it in there. Okay, so we've got them directly across from each other. Okay, and now we're going to do it again. Let's go ahead and just do two right here. So we'll do one and then two, and this one's going to kind of butt up against that little thing. That's okay. Okay, so we'll just keep going. One and two. This one has room for one more right here. This one's kind of tricky to do. So if you want to lift up your canvas and flip it over, you can. Okay, so let's do another one right here. See how I'm just using the shape of my brush, right? Using the shape of my brush and then just kind of making little triangle edges to it, okay? So do a couple more right here. Just shape that in as best we can. Right there, okay. So now let's go ahead and go over to our second tire and do the same thing. Start at the top, directly on the bottom below it, okay, and then we'll go across from each other here, just like that, and then you'll just start to build off of that, okay? So just do one here. Again, just use that shape of your brush to get those in there. Okay. Then we just got these that are in between here. If you think too much about it, it's probably going to start to stress you out. So just keep going for it. Okay. Try and get a nice flat top if you can. It's tricky as you start to curve around these edges. That's why it's okay to flip your canvas if you need to. Just reshape that one a little bit. All right, so now we've got those fun tires in there, okay? So let's go ahead and do our center. So I need to make a little bit of gray. So I'll pull some white, and my brush already has lots of black on it. So I don't need to add any black to it. So I'll just make me some gray right there, and I'll go ahead and shape in the center circle of my tire. Just shape that around. Cleaning it up as best as I can here. Remember, circles grow, so gotta know when you're okay to just let it be. One circle in, let's go ahead and do the next one. Just filling it in, pressing those bristles. My brush seems a little dry, so I'll add some water to my paint there. And I'll just press my bristles, go all the way around. Just clean it up as best I can. So I've got my tires here. Now before I wash my brush, I'm just going to put black on one little edge of my brush. And I'm going to come over here on the left-hand side. I'm just going to do like a C shape. So I'm not going to go all the way around my tire. Okay? Just about half of it, just like that. Okay? Got some super cool tires going on. So let's just get all in black again. That gray will just kind of mix into that black. Just kind of get it all around. And now I'm going to take that brush full of black paint and I'm going to put a little white edge on it. Okay? And now I'm going to go around my tire, the black part. It'll kind of turn gray, which is what you want. I'm just going to almost go around the whole tire, but not quite. We're going to have these little breaks in it where it's not a completed outline. It's just kind of helping our tire look nice and round. Okay, and we'll go ahead and do it on the other tire. Get the corner. Go around like that. And up here. And then over here, just like that. So we've got our tires. Maybe we'll make this one a little bit more white on there. There we go. Back into our gray real quick. Mix it all in. And then just a corner of white. I'll come over here and I'll just add a highlight right in that tire too. Okay. All right, there we go. Let's give this brush a nice good wash. Our tires are looking super cool. You can see right there, I got a little bit of black on my background, so I'm gonna load just a little bit of light blue and just cover that up a little bit here. Just like that. If that happens to you, you cover it up, no problem, okay? All right, giving my brush a good wash. I'm gonna go in and switch to my round brush, and I'm gonna fill in all these black bars underneath the truck, okay? So I'm gonna get into my black paint. I'm just gonna start to fill these in. Okay, if you have a little flat brush, you can use that as well. Sometimes that would be a little bit easier, but any kind of small brush will work. And you just want to fill in these little details and use your water if your paint's starting to feel kind of stiff, okay, and just kind of twirl that brush like that. And then come in here. Keep filling in all of those bars that are making this truck stand up really tall, huh? So come over here and do the same thing. Just filling it in. Right here, be careful around that yellow. We don't want to get in that yellow, right? Once black is on our canvas, it's really hard to cover that up. So we want to be careful, especially with yellow. Yellow doesn't have a whole lot of pigment in it, so it's hard to cover things that need to be yellow. Okay, so this last one right underneath the truck makes this nice X here. Nice and gently filling that in, following those lines that are on my canvas as best as I can. Can't rush little lines, right? So we gotta slow down a little bit and take our time with the details. They make a big difference. All right, looking pretty good. I'm gonna come back over here to some white, kind of mix in that lighter gray. I'm just gonna put in a few little highlights on here. Okay, just kind of come up and really gently kind of give it some light here and there. All right, just kind of, while it's nice and wet, put them in just like that. You can always come back to your black, blend it in a little bit. All right, okay, we've got this little spot in the back of our truck, these little bars, so we're gonna go ahead and put those in, okay, while we've got our brush here. I'm gonna make sure my paint's nice and loose, so I'm gonna add some water. And this is kind of like an A, just with a crooked and a straight line. So I'm gonna come up close to my truck. I'm gonna do my best to go straight down, okay? So we've got that straight line, and then we're gonna do a straight line on top like this. Okay, and here's where our A comes into place. We're gonna do a slanted line coming down, just slightly slanted. And then right about here, not quite in the middle, about 2/3 of the way down, we're gonna go across, just like that. Okay, our truck is looking super awesome. Let's wash our brush out. And let's go back to our flat, okay? And we're gonna put in our headlight. So I'm gonna get some white paint here, come over to my light, and just fill that section in. Nice and loaded brush here. Make sure it's nice and bright white. just straight down. And I'm going to put just a little bit of this charcoal color on there, that gray, on just one end of my brush, and I'm just going to pull down that shadow just right in there. You can see it just barely there, but it makes a difference. Okay. Wash our brush again. Let's go into our flame and add some fun orange in there. Now we're going to have to make orange, right? So let's go ahead and take a little bit of red with some yellow and just give that a good mix. You can see it just right away makes orange. So it's more yellow than red though, okay? So keep that in mind. And just mix a little bit at a time until you get the shade that you want. And then rinse your brush out again. All right, now I'm gonna load it with yellow paint. And like we always do, just kind of put a little on the corner of my brush, okay? So I've got mostly yellow and just a little corner of orange. Now I'm gonna kind of go around the outside edge, or the inner edge, I should say, of my flame, okay? So let's just start to go in here like this. And add this kind of orangish, you can kind of brush it in a little bit, okay? Kind of go on the top of the truck and start to add that orange fiery color, okay? Same thing down here. You can see I'm using the toe of my brush. Use that toe to get in there. Okay, and again, just kind of blend it all out. And go up around the rim if you want there. Okay, just kind of put a little yellow on your brush to make sure everything's nice and blended in. Put some over here by the light, the bumper. Just adding that extra dimension and that depth with that nice flame color. And then just kind of blend it all in. Some yellow paint. Keeping our edges darker for a nice flame. All right, I'm gonna wash again. We are just about done. Let's go back into our red and add our final layer to that, okay? So I'm gonna load with some red paint on my flat brush. Nice and loaded, and then just a touch of black, okay? I'm gonna take that black edge and I'm gonna go all the way around my truck with it, okay? So let's go ahead and start following our truck. See that? Gives a nice dark edge to our truck here. Come around here. Using our brush for those nice corners and those sharp edges. The shape of our brush is going to help with that. Then up and around we go on this. You can see it just really cleans up our truck lines here. Go down here, straight across, all the way across there. Okay, and kind of just blend it where it feels like it's too sharp. We want to always blend our lines. All right, we're gonna keep going here. Come up to the top of here. Straight across. My brush had a little white in it, but that's okay. Okay. And back down here. Awesome. Now we'll just add a little bit of a shadow happening right here in our truck. Here, load with red and just kind of blend all that in. Nice red truck. Offloading whatever little bit of black is left. All right, time to wash that brush really good. Give it a nice, good rinse. Make sure it's nice and clean because we're just gonna add a little bit of movement to our background. So I'm gonna come over here to my background color again, my light color. Add a little bit of white to a corner of my brush, and then just around my tires, I'm just gonna make these little, I like to call them ripple or movement marks. Okay, just around our tires here. Maybe we'll do some right here. Okay, come up here and have one. We'd even go around our truck a little bit and add some. Of course, in our window, maybe we could add some white in there. Some reflection, and just kind of dust it around your truck just like that. All right, you guys, wash it off really good. We'll add just a bit of white to the tip of our brush here, and I'm just gonna make a few marks in our truck, just kind of like worn marks. This truck's definitely been worn out, right? It's been doing all this. So we're just gonna add a few of those here and there. And this is just barely gracing the canvas, just nice and light, okay? Rinse that out really good. The last thing we're gonna do is just clean up our edges by making a little bit of an outline, especially around our flame and anywhere else that we feel like it needs to stand out. So let's switch to a detail brush, get it wet, really loosen up your black paint, really loosen it up, okay? That's important. Anytime we're doing lines and detail work, we gotta make sure our paint is nice and loose, okay? So I'm gonna really take the time to loosen up that paint. And now we're gonna go around our flame, okay? So slow and steady here. Just really want our flame to stand out, right? Notice I can do these long brush strokes without my brush stroke breaking or without needing to load my brush. The reason for that is my paint has been nice and thinned out. So make sure you're taking the time to do that. Otherwise, you're really gonna struggle with your lines, okay? You can see that black line really helps our flame, okay? Now we're gonna go up and around, clean up this edge here. Get that shadow kind of going underneath our truck. Go along here. Come up to the top of our truck. Come down. Now we're not going to go in the front of our headlight, okay, because it's going to wrap around. So we're just going to come on the inside of it here. Clean up our edges nice like that, okay? Awesome. All right, let's see if there's anywhere else that we might want to add a little bit of black. I think I want to go underneath here and clean this line up right here, okay? Maybe even right underneath. And you can choose at this point where you want to add some extra lines, okay? Where you want things to just kind of stand out a little bit more. Okay, I think I might come into this inner window and I might just make sure my lines are nice and cleaned up in here. Really want these to stand out. Okay, maybe even connect that right there. Because of the way that we painted our truck, with that nice dark edge on our red, it's pretty much outlined right now. So you can choose to outline the whole thing again if you want, or you can just leave it just like this and have it all nice and dark around the edges the way it is. Or like I said, you can continue to make your lines all around your truck. I feel like this looks pretty good and I'm pretty happy with it just the way that it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and just real quick touch up another spot. I got a little bit of black. Go ahead and do that. Sometimes that happens. Wash my brush again. And I think it's time that we sign our painting. So I'm gonna get into some black paint right here with my detail brush. And I'm gonna find a spot. I think right here is gonna be good for me. I'm gonna go ahead and sign my name. Well, artists, thank you so much for painting with me today. I hope you love your truck. I love my truck. It's super cool. And remember to keep creating, and hopefully we'll be able to paint together again soon. Bye-bye.